Whenever you want to start, Maddalena, then the floor is yours.
All right, can you see me?
Yep.
All right, hello everybody. Thank you for joining. I will immediately share my screen so that I can give you a little bit of context of what we are doing now. And I will also like to know a little bit about where are you from and what would you like to hear about in this talk in the meantime. All right, do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I am, you can call me Madi. I'm currently living in Bali, in Indonesia, and this time of the day it's 7:20 almost. I'm currently a design mentor at the Apple Developer Academy, which is a project that is in partnership with an Indonesian university called BINUS. I would really encourage you to check it out if you never heard about it. It's a partnership between Apple and the university, and it's a free program for everybody in any age, for with any background, and it's really interesting what we do there. I'm gonna talk about an app that I have developed with my team. Suyash, Gianni, and Alex. They are all two of them are based in Italy, and Suyash is based in India. They are not here today, but they say hi to everybody. Warmly recommended to say. So I will start with the video of a young lady, a little girl. Doesn't have audio, but just text. So there it is. So as you could see, what we're talking about here is deaf blindness. It's a disease that is not very well known, and there are a lot of people that think that people could either be just blind or just deaf. What happens here is that a lot of the accessibility tools also are not taking into account this kind of condition. So a lot of the accessibility features, including Apple or Android, and also a lot of devices, accessible devices, only take into account blindness, deafness, or other neuroatypical conditions. So that happens that deafblind people are left a little bit behind, and they cannot have use of technology as much as the others. In our research, we have learned that those that use technology have an improvement of their life quality of 80%, and they really rely on it a lot. So we empathize with those users, and we developed an app that doesn't need to be seen nor heard. As a matter of fact, our app can be felt. The name of the app is Anne, in honor of Anne Sullivan. Anne Sullivan is the assistant of Helen Keller. And Helen Keller is a very famous deafblind individual who was the first to graduate at university. How did she do that? Thanks to her assistant who helped her study and use Morse. Today I would like to introduce you to some people that we have researched our app with. We have tested, I'm stopping because maybe the connection is... Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So that was Shruti. She's manager of this center in India called CEST India. This person is Matilde Lauria. She's a Paralympic champion of judo. She's particularly special because she has been blind from when she was born, and then she became deaf with time. She uses a device that costs about $8,000 to actually hear. Not fully, but definitely 50% hearing. And when she practices judo, she has to completely remove this device. She's, as a matter of fact, the inspiration for our app, because when she fights and when she does judo, everything she relies on is the vibrations of the mat under her feet. And thanks to that, she understands how close her adversary is. And she has won multiple championships, and she has 3 kids. Started doing judo exactly when she tried to introduce one of her kids to judo, but instead she started it and it stuck with her. Anna, or Anna Rita, she is actually a translator of English, Turkish, and French. And then we have Antonio Russo, who is a very sweet man and engineer and Morse operator. He has been deaf and blind since he was born. He can speak, but he cannot hear. So these people are important because they are representing different levels of deaf blindness. Depending on how they get it, maybe as you can see, Antonio, Matilde, they all have different way of communicate, and it's every translation for them is very tailored. In these images, you see that Shruti is using a tactile ASL, while on the right there is below there is a glove that is used for the Italian way of communicating, which is called malossi, where according to how many taps you understand what letter it is. This was at a conference in Canada, and this is like an interesting video because there is a person speaking and the translator is using tactile ASL to communicate with their client.
Not really understand this, and they're not able to relate. But I'm deafblind, they're deafblind, and wow, they see me use these things, they want to learn. They come to me with questions, and I'm able to answer. So deafblind teachers, trainers are really the best. They see me use a cane and they think, wow.
So how we bridge the gap is with Morse and haptics. We have basically understood, thanks to Matilde, that Morse is one of the ways that people use to communicate, and it was in fact also Helen Keller's way to learn and study for university. And we bridged the gap with the technology of haptics and vibrations according to what each line and dot represent. So a dot will be a short haptic and a line a longer one. Let's talk quickly about the design of app and why we're talking about it. Anne has been recognized by multiple organizations. Was an Apple Design Award finalist and a Don Norman Design Award finalist. And especially for the Apple Design Award, among millions of apps, I get asked a lot what made it stand out from the mass. And we were on stage with apps like Duolingo, Gentler Streak, and many other giant even though we are a very tiny reality for a very niche audience. I think I don't know exactly, to be honest, but I'll tell you what I think we have done right. And it was like our research and it was our intentionality in the design. In fact, everything is very well planned and there is nothing left to chance. We have worked closely with the people that I showed you and more. We have traveled everywhere to for example, to New York, to the Helen Keller Institute, to Ottawa. We have traveled to Ireland. We have worked closely with the centers, and we have taken into account always what the users were giving us as a feedback. So the app itself is completely built upon gesture. So all the basic and advanced functions become accessible after having been onboarded with their assistant. And there is a recap. They have like mainly 4 gestures that they have to always remember, but in general, they can do a lot of the actions with the more advanced gestures. We even thought about how can they open the app because they cannot hear the voiceover, and many of them don't even know Braille because they got blind maybe later in life, right? So we use the technology of shortcuts with double back tap. They can open the app and they will feel that with the haptic that the app is being open, and then from there they can completely action it with their gestures. For every haptic, we have personalized it and we created our vibration patterns because our app also listens to the people speaking and translates it in Morse. So every vibration is customized as if you were putting your hand on your chest while you're speaking, you would feel that the vibration is not even. So we have customized that. And all of this was all before AI even existed, right? We developed the app at the beginning of 2022. We were the Design Award in 2023. And so we have been, since 2023, start working on implementing artificial intelligence and trying to understand what can we do and why and where can we actually improve the app. One of our inspiration was, for example, Be My Eyes. Be My Eyes, for those of you who don't know it, is an incredible app that I encourage you to download. It's helping people that are blind to see. So volunteers will call you, like you as a volunteer will get a call from blind people that need to see something. For example, I got a call from someone that was recording themselves playing the piano and they wanted to know if the camera was pointed right. And what Be My Eyes did, preceding us, obviously, was to use, for example, for the iPhone, they would use a shortcut that allowed the environment to be described with Be My Eyes. Now, this is a very common feature, but it's not something that, for example, we could have done easily because our descriptions are not textual, they are only haptics, right?
It looks like Miranda has an issue with her connection. Can everybody hear me? Yes, okay. Yeah, Maddalena, she told me this morning that her connection was a bit poor. So we'll give her a few more minutes to come back, and then we'll see. Hopefully, we can pick up the talk. Okay. Okay, we can
Hi,
see.
sorry about that. My connection crashed.
No
So I'll
problem.
share again. I was saying, I was talking about this quote of Helen Keller, where she says, while they were saying about themselves, it cannot be done, it was done. And I think this is a beautiful reminder that we don't need to be just relying on the average way that things are done, but we can always improve upon our ways, and we can always make things better for everybody. So one of our objective with implementing AI was about, for example, reading the room. One of the main use for our app is when the users are outside, and usually they would have different papers with them. They would carry different paper there, where they ask people to help them cross the street or drop me off somewhere. With our app, they can send this message or speak this message out loud in one or two taps. But we wanted to do more, in fact, and we wanted to have our app to be able to be situational and to help the user in multiple situations and in multiple ways. And something that we have seen is that even though we live in this moment where artificial intelligence can remove barriers that have been there for a long time, like AI can describe, can generate speech, can describe the real world, recognize obstacles. There are still barriers for example, in this case, deaf-blind, and sometimes this innovation, it's like the people, like the designers, keep in mind the innovation, but they don't keep in mind the inclusion. So I think it's important that we remember that this is not just creating assistive technologies, but it's also empowering a big fan of users to live their life thanks to technology, to live their life better thanks to technology. So that's the paradox, right? This is, by the way, Scott from the Helen Keller Institute. So yeah, the paradox is that while we have so many tools that could improve our way we work and design and our way we help our users, the same system could create new exclusions. There are a lot of biases in data, in limitation of context. So sometimes the promises can just be can just turn into harm, especially. And I say harm because when a user that relies on assistive technologies to live their life, like to cook, to cross the street, they need a rate about of close to 100% reliability. And when this doesn't happen, it makes the whole product almost worthless. This is for us the main challenge here. But beyond our app, these are also many other designers and products challenges. There are a lot of algorithmic biases and data inequality. The AI models are not trained always on with users, and there is absolutely no context in whatever they are trying to represent. So it ends up having data that underrepresents the people that the product is actually designed for. Then we have other challenges that can seem trivial, but they are actually not, because we always have to consider the time that people need to accomplish tasks, right? And in this case, for example, there are alt texts that are simply not meaningful, they are not nuanced, they don't take into account important information when it's just AI generated. So when it is automatic, it probably will miss information that are relevant and include a lot of verbosity that is not needed. Another very important issue is like the techno-ableism, where like AI often portrays disability as a tragedy. It reduce people to let's say, disable people to people with problems, instead of just realizing that there is just a mismatch of ability. And the ability mismatch is caused exactly by the technology. That doesn't have to be only digital. It can also be a ramp of stairs. Is also a way that we can say it's a technology to that doesn't allow people in a wheelchair to walk to a door. So again, speed over quality is kind of summarizing a little bit the three other points of the challenges that AI has. It's about always like caring and testing. And in the image, you can see an interaction that we had with Tony May, is one of our users. We have multiple interactions with the users. We always ask for feedback, as I already mentioned. And in the highlighted section, I find it a little bit funny, honestly. There is an instance where he's not able to use the app, and he's probably quite pissed off. And he's like standing in a line, and he can't understand what is getting asked. And then, because of this issue with the app, he has to pay for a support or translator, which means 2 airfares, double seating, double hotel expenses. So these are all instances we don't even think about, and it kind of they get affected when we the user get affected when we prefer to accomplish things with speed rather than actually investigating what is the real issue and making a quality product. But together with the challenges, we have some progress. I like to mention here Wits. It's an interesting method, because they use a collaborative approach for a data set, meaning that the AI is not anymore trained or just data, but is actually there is a very tight interaction with the human that actually assess and sees what the eye is seeing, and there is a proof. There is a way to make AI understand cases of relevance and non relevance, so they can prioritize reliability over aesthetics, and prioritize truth over just word of tentative words, right? Again, high customization is something that we always have to keep in mind when we use AI for accessibility. That's because not all disabilities are the same, and even in the most simple neurotypical, like we have people that cannot use the touch properly, or they cannot, they would, for example, for blind people, there is often an issue with low vision. People really rely on the tiniest vision they have left, and they don't use the voiceover until they don't have to. And this is something that we often forget when I consult for companies that need this kind of compliance help. That's something that we always have to keep in mind. And therefore, we considering that every user needs different levels of accessibility, and we have the responsibility, because we can blend methods, haptics, allow customization. I think this is something that, for example, Apple does very well. And I mention Apple because this is just some examples of interactions with feedback. I mentioned Apple because I want to also speak a bit about business. It's not because of empathy. It's not only because of empathy that a company like Apple would put so much effort into creating accessible product. There is also an important business side, which is, for example, if a user has some sort of disability, they uses your product, there are probably 5 more people in their family or in their closest circle that will use the same product, which means that for one person you're actually selling for 5. So whenever you are trying to implement accessibility practices in your company, and it's sometimes it's a bit hard because some companies would probably feel a little bit like it's not useful. You can remind them that accessibility and AI and accessibility are not charity. It's more of a strategy because it allows you to have more users. It's a market expansion. And inclusive products reach a global audience. There are over 1 billion people with disabilities and families and caretakers. So then there is a cost efficiency. If you have clear captions, if you have good transcripts and reliable assistive features, you will have less customer support needs. So less audits and less time waste. And third, we have a lot of accessibility acts like the European, the American, and so on. And of course, being compliant reduces litigation risk. So for the sake of time, this is just a couple of snapshots of the people that helped us understand more about accessibility, inclusion, and AI. And I would like to close with a quote from Kate Holmes from her amazing book, Mismatch, where she says that disability is not a personal health condition, but a mismatched human interaction, and that design is the problem, but is also the answer. And we have to remember that inclusive design doesn't mean that you are designing one thing for all the people, but you are designing a diversity of ways to participate so that everybody can feel like they are belonging. So thank you so much.